What if I told you that you can draw this kind of realistic looking drawing in just 3 steps? Would you believe me? If yes, then watch the video till the end to know more. If not, watch the video till the end so that I can make you believe me. First things first, you need a very good reference picture, and you can download it from Google if you want to, or else you can take your own reference image just like I'm doing it right now. And the major advantage of taking your own reference image is because you can understand your subject better, and also you will get a very satisfied image to work with. Now let's move on to a step number 1, and that is to create an accurate looking sketch. And what I mean by accurate is that you need to include every single detail that you can see in your reference. For example, the highlights and shadows and all the tiny letters that you can see in the reference. And also I crumpled up the paper so much so there is lots of creases. So you need to include all the direction of the creases as well. Once I'm happy with the sketch, I'm going to go in with a kneadable eraser and lighten it even further, but this time I'm going to keep the sketch pretty dark so that it's still visible to me. Our step number 2 is the marker base. With the color swatch card that I created, I'm going to select all the colors that I need for this particular drawing, and by the way, I have a review for these touchcool markers and I'll leave the link in the description box. I'm going to use this sheet that came with the ohuhu marker set, and the review is in the description box, and this basically prevents the alcohol ink from staining the next page. And if you don't have this, by the way, you can use some sheets of paper underneath and that works just fine. For this marker layer, all you have to do is block in all the shades that you can see in your reference image, starting with the lightest color. This is one of the reasons I told you to create a very accurate looking sketch with all the details for highlights and shadows. If you did create an accurate sketch, then this step is going to be exactly like a children's coloring book, because you're not doing any crazy techniques, you're not blending anything, you're simply laying down the color as you see them in the reference image, and that's it. Even though I didn't do any blending or any crazy techniques, this drawing is already looking realistic, isn't it? And that is only because of our accurate sketch. The white letters may look smudged right now, but don't worry, we will fix it later. Now let's move on to a third step, and that is to use color pencils, and I'm using Derwent Academy color pencils today, and I'll leave a link to the review in the description box. And just as I did before, I'm selecting all the colors that I need using the color swatch card, and now I'm going to sharpen all the colors. Now for this particular color pencil layer, you have to start with the white color first, and since we use markers as our base, this white color is going to show up on that marker base pretty well, so you don't have to worry about that. Once you have the highlights in place, you can move on to the other colors, and all you have to do for this layer is blend the previous marker layer and also correct all the values that you can see in the reference image. Since we started with a marker base, you don't have to worry about filling in the grains of the paper because the alcohol ink have already stained the paper for you, so the colors are going to look intense anyway. Now I have a trick for you. When you add some color on top of the white highlight, it is going to make that highlight look much more natural and much more realistic. Another important thing that you need to remember is that you should never place your hands on top of the color pencil layer. If you do, it is going to smudge and it's not going to look nice. So to avoid that, since I'm right-handed, I'm starting from the left and slowly I'm moving on to the right side so that my hands are never placed on top of the color pencil layer. Another important thing that you need to remember is to split your drawings into small sections so that it's easier for you to concentrate on one particular area rather than the whole drawing, which can drive you insane. So, to keep your sanity, split your drawings into small sections. The major advantage of using this particular technique is that it saves a lot of time. If I am to draw this using only color pencils, then I'm sure it would have taken me forever to finish this one particular drawing. And number 2, I can bring back any lost highlights. Now for the white regions inside that KitKat, I'm going to use a 6B graphite pencil, and I use this because it's easier to blend than the markers and the color pencils. Once I've laid enough graphite on all the areas that I want, I'm going to take a tissue paper and wrap it around my fingers to blend everything out. Once I'm done, I'm going to take a stick eraser and erase some of the regions where I want to be lighter, and then I'm going to do the same thing for the shadows as well. And just keep in mind, shadows are just as important as the whole drawing, so spend some time for the shadows as well. I'm going to add a layer of graphite wherever I want it to be, and then with the tissue paper I'm going to blend everything out. After 2 or 3 layers of graphite, I'm going to use black color pencil for all the darkest areas of the shadows. For example, right underneath that wrapper, that area has darker shadows. I'm using black color pencil to those areas as well. If suppose you smudged that graphite too much, then you can erase some of them off. Just be careful with it though. Now I'm adding shadows to the white regions around the KitKat, and remember, every single detail matters when it comes to realism. Once you are happy with your color pencil layer, you can use the colorless blender that comes along with the marker set and use that to blend the color pencils together. And since this has alcohol in it, it is going to dissolve the color pencils and make the color pencil layer much smoother. As you use the colorless blender, it is going to become dirty, so to avoid any accidental smudging, you have to clean it occasionally with a tissue paper. You can use the blender for the shadows as well, and it is going to make it look much more smoother and much more realistic. If you noticed, I'm not adding any blender to the white silver wrappings of the KitKat, and that's because I want to keep all the texture as it is. To add all the fine details, I'm using a white gel pen and I'm drawing all the letters that I can see in the reference image. The white gel pen will be so bright and it's not going to look realistic, so to make it look realistic, go over that white gel pen with some grey color so that it gets blended into the drawing and it looks much more realistic. Now I'm going to add all the tiny details and letters that I can see on the sides of the wrapping with a white gel pen and a black pen. That is exactly how you can draw something realistic in just 3 simple steps. Plus one extra step. I hope I made you believe me. If you did, do give this video a big thumbs up and let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye everybody.